Hi, very good afternoon to all of you, and also a warm welcome to all our viewers who have joined us on the show. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Skepta. I'm your host, Dr. Mani Iyer. Before we start, I request all of you to kindly subscribe to this channel and also like this video podcast as well as share it with all your friends and relatives. This will go in a long way in supporting us to produce many more such videos and such shows and bring them to you. All right, let's begin. From pressure to power. Pressure is a part of our life. We face it at work, in our career, in our careers, in our relationships, and even in the small decisions we make every day. But here's the real question. Why do some people crumble under pressure while others seem to rise to the occasion? Is resilience something we are simply born with, or is it a skill that we can consciously develop? Today, we are going to explore exactly that, how to handle pressure without letting it handle us, and how to turn challenging situations into opportunities to become stronger, calmer, and more resilient. To help us achieve this goal, we are joined by Ms. Gauri Indurkar, who is a counseling psychologist and a certified life coach with an MA in psychology and ISTD diploma in training and development. She has about 15 years of corporate experience with global MNCs, including Ford Motor Company and Bank of New York. She has a lot of international exposure across various continents, including the US, China, Thailand, and Japan, bringing global perspective to both counseling and coaching. She is very experienced in counseling, coaching, mentoring, and human development, and helping people, individuals, building self awareness, resilience, and realize their potential. So, we welcome Ms. Gauri Indurkarji to our show once again. And Gauriji, welcome. A warm welcome to our show. And yeah,
Thank you.
mm, I have introduced the topic, so the floor is yours. Over to you.
Thank you so much. So, first of all, it's my pleasure being on this forum and, talking about a very important aspect of life, which is handling pressure. So, we will keep it interactive, Dr. Iyer, wherein, you can give your perspective as well as we go along the way.
Sure.
So, typically, when we experience pressure or stressful situation, what are the things that generally happen? I mean, if I have to ask you, what is that you experience?
Yeah. So basically, when you're undergoing a lot of pressure, I think um, you're not able to think properly, first of all, and your blood pressure goes up, you start sweating, and you are not sure, you're a little bit, you feel the pulse racing, and you're not calm or cool or whatever. You're a little bit, you're under stress, and when you're under pressure, you're not able to think clearly also. So this is what one would feel, I think, because I had felt in that way.
Right. Very nicely, you have captured different elements our body and mind goes through while undergoing pressure, which is, sweaty palms, then our feet are shaking. We suddenly feel a loss of breath, sometimes loss of sight, and, our heart is pounding faster. So these are very, key traits that occur when the stress happens to us at any given point of time. Now, if we can just, little bit go back and think through that we see various performers like Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, global leaders. Wouldn't they be experiencing pressure when they are about to perform, in a bigger forum, in an international forum? Would they not be going through such kind of stress or pressure? And then what is that which differentiates a person who is able to, combat all of these versus the person who is bogged down by the pressure? And I think that is the key thing that we are going to talk about in today's session. So effectively, anyone who is performing anything at a global stage or even in some kind of job or competition, they experience pressure. So pressure is not something which is bad or abnormal. It is very much part of our lives, everyday lives. Problem is when it becomes unmanageable. Problem is when it becomes an overflowing pressure. I think that is the point. It starts making all of a difference. So if we just look at it and trace back, now we feel pressure, like you just mentioned, in various situations. What is our mechanisms to go about it? Our mechanisms are, we try to either listen to music, we take a walk, we do deep breathing, or we just sleep over it at times to get rid of it. But sometimes people experience alarming pressure, wherein even when they try to use these techniques to, disseminate their pressure, still they are not able to come over it. And the stark visible aspect of that is when they are not able to manage their day to day situations effectively, the pressure has significantly impacted them in an adverse way. And that is where, if it sustains for a long time, it can also result in depression for that individual. So it becomes very, very important that a person identifies how much he or she is being impacted by that. Some amount of pressure is actually good for giving the best performance. If I have to give an example, whenever I go for sessions, even I feel some kind of stress. But I would say it is a eustress, the EUSTRESS. The word eustress is a positive stress that we experience when we are about to perform. But if we are too much overthinking about it, if we are too ingrained by it, then it becomes a bad stress, the distress, which makes us very uncomfortable. And somewhere down the line, it is sort of our um, it should be our purview to look into that how much it is impacting us. Many a times people don't look into it and they keep on taking pressure to a point where they feel so overwhelmed that just like a pressure cooker, if it does not have a whistle fixed properly, it burst, people burst. So when people burst in various situations, it's not just that particular incident which instigated them. It is the overall accumulation of lot of things which remain unaddressed for a very long time, and which creates issues for them in conducting themselves peacefully on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. So I think you have kind of said what is bad pressure and can pressure actually improve our performance, or would you want to emphasize that?
Pressure, actually, in order to improve the performance, if you see, look at the coaches in various sports arena, or even people who are performing in the corporate world, pressure is created for them. It is required, because if, let's assume a world where there's no pressure, there is a complete relaxed atmosphere everywhere around, can the world sustain, or can the world go to the next level of achievements what it is currently into? The answer is absolutely not, because the world is so carried away by whatever is going on that it doesn't want to improve. So any kind of upscaling requires an individual, an institution, or typically the situations to undergo a pressure so that the best in them culminates. But to what extent is the question. Sometimes pressures are external, sometimes they are internal. External pressures can be still handled skillfully if a person is internally strong enough. However, if the person is internally weak, the external pressure can completely ruin the confidence and the well being of an individual.
Mm. Oh, okay. Thank you so much for that. So, how can someone recognize that they are moving from healthy pressure into a very overwhelming stress or something?
So, just like any skill which a human being learns over the period, this is also a skill which one has to cultivate. Understanding your own self, being aware about your body, about your mind, being in synchronization with both of them. That is an art and a skill, and one has to really learn and execute that. So it will not happen like, for example, you tell me that, I just identify your pressure points and you can address them. One has to sit with it and practice it for multiple months, and then the person will be able to recognize the pressure points. So first basic step is being aware of what's happening in the body, being aware of what's happening in the mind, being aware that whether the distortion or the pressure or the stress in my body and mind, is it enabling me to do something or it's disabling me to do something. Let's say if it is disabling you, you get the answer, then this is a detrimental step. Stress, it's not helping me, it's actually pulling me down, and the steps needs to be then taken to correct the situation. However, if it is other way around, then it's kind of helping you to ramp up in that space. So first is being aware about this situation. Many times I've seen people say that how can we be aware? For that you have to spend time with yourself. You have to be somewhere in sync with your own mind, emotions, body, thoughts, action, because everything is related. So it's not going to happen that your emotions are independent of the physical stress body is experiencing, or vice versa. Everything, all the dots are connected, but one has to understand that connection. One has to understand the pattern, that when the pressure surmounts, then how is my body reacting to it, how is my mind reacting to it, how am I behaving. So first is awareness. Second is ability to reflect. So as I mentioned, it's not going to happen in a day's time. But if there is an intent to reflect over a situation, there will be learnings every single time a person undergoes a pressure. So it's very important people are able to reflect upon the situation as a third person or a spectator who is not part of the situation. For example, if let's say I am performing on a stage tomorrow, and I go ahead and I perform, maybe in the patches of it I do experience huge amount of anxiety and large amount of pressure. And later on, after that event is over, do I sit back with myself and reflect upon what happened during the day? What emotions did I undergo? Were there any points where I was completely incapable of performing what I was supposed to do? These are the questions one should sit and ask themselves. But what happens is many times people distract their minds. They say, okay, no, that's not really required. And see, that's where the problem starts coming in, because now a person thinks that okay, the day has happened, it's gone, I was able to conduct myself, my performance was not miserable, or it was not evidently bad in the eyes of the other people, so I'm good. But that is not addressing pressure, because that is in that situation you were able to carry yourself. Maybe situations, external situations also supported you, and you could conduct in a certain way. Not everything every time that's going to happen. Situations will differ. And then if people are not having that mindset, it's going to be very very difficult for them to really make any change. So first is being aware. Second is reflection on yourself post the event. That is an important aspect of understanding pressure.
Okay. So we need to handle this. And are there some simple techniques people can use to stay calm in a high pressure situation?
There are actually many techniques. So first of all is breathing techniques, very underrated. But think about it, the the calm breathing. There are various techniques, like for example, box breathing, sigh breathing. These techniques completely help you to eradicate pressure from your body, anxiety from your body when you are in a difficult situation. It it kind of completely soothes your nervous system, and breathing patterns bring your body in a relaxed state of mind. So there is one simple technique which I'll talk about, which is a box breathing technique. What we do in that is simple. Imagine a square. Okay, it starts with a point in the square where you have to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold the breath for next 4 seconds, exhale the breath for 4 seconds, and then again hold for 4 seconds. This is a complete loop of the square, and this square breathing can be repeated 4 to 5 times in one lot. If one is experiencing severe stress and anxiety, one can do 2 or 3 lots of it, and they will, you know, kind of feel relaxed after that. And this is scientifically proven. Research says that deep breathing deeply relaxes your body. And it cannot happen that all the muscles in your body are relaxed and your brain is only in the pressure, right? As I mentioned, everything is interconnected. So, if all the muscles relax in your body when you're deep breathing, even your brain relaxes. And once it relaxes, you can sense it, like you feel it. I'm feeling better. It's kind of soothing feeling for you as an individual. So box breathing is one of the very simple technique one can undergo. The second one is it is again simple, but then it depends on the situation. For example, at times going for a short walk away from the people situation. Let's say if some, and this I'm taking a little bit different example. I'm not relating this with competition, per se, but let's say a person is in an office situation, he is really getting anxious and frustrated because of the politics happening in their team, and this is a very likely scenario in many organizations, which I get to know through coaching and counseling sessions. So in such situation, if there is a buck passing of which you are a victim, and you realize that now you cannot change your boss, you cannot change the people around you, but you can withdraw yourself for certain time, take a walk in the fresh air and come back. Change of place, change of surrounding, change of environment deeply impacts your mood. And again, this is a very underrated exercise, but then if people do it, they realize that the outcomes are way better. Because then think about it, no, you were not in there in that situation. Maybe if you were undergoing a lot of anxiety and pressure, you will say something which you're not supposed to say and regret it later. That is avoided. Maybe the eventual point comes where you get angry because you're so stressful, you feel so pressured that you get angry, and you pour out your anger on the third person, and then you realize, oh my god, I was not supposed to do that, or I did not want to do it, but I ended up doing because I was not my own emotions, right? And the third one, which is building emotional intelligence. Again, this is something not happening overnight, but it is important. To put simply, what emotional intelligence means is it is the ability to understand, regulate, and process your own emotions, and also understand the emotions of the other person. So, how does it help? Because when you know how the other person is or how people are going to react around you, you fine tune your responses. You choose how you want to respond, and that changes the game significantly, because all your reactions are not instant. These reactions are thoughtfully crafted actions which one intends to take in a certain situation. So it's not coming inorganically, it is coming after a lot of thoughts and deliberation on it. So that really helps to conduct oneself in a positive way. And obviously a person also feels confident, because if I know that I'm in control of my emotion, I'm not going to lose myself to anyone. But the moment I know that I am just haywired, unstructured, anybody can instigate me, then imagine how my responses will be. And the moment I give unclear, out of the box responses, it may create difficult situations for me in future, and that will also create all the more pressure for me. Why did I do what did I do? So yeah, emotional intelligence is one of them.
Okay. Now that we can describe resilience is often described as an ability to bounce back after a stressful situation. So, how can we actually build this resilience in us?
I think building resilience is obviously a craft, but to build resilience, one has to experience failures in life. And when one is experiencing the failures, one is able to get up, come back with all the energy and say, I will still do the best I can. I will live up to my best. And that is building resilience. So obviously it's a very good thing to build, but it has to be also, um, how should I put it? It should, it should, it can be practiced when somebody has experienced failure. And for experiencing failure, one has to really go all out and experience different arenas of life, maybe professional life, personal life, to get exposed so much that they can encounter failure. Many times people live such a restricted life that they don't want to get exposed to the facet of failing at all, and then they live so cautiously that probably they've even not lived it at all. That also happens. So if you've not undergone failure, it's very hard to build resilience. There are many situations where people pick the candidates from an interview perspective, I'm saying, where they have undergone some failure, because failure was not defining them. Their ability to bounce back, their ability to come back when the situations were adverse, defined their personality and who they were. And that is what many times companies want, because not every time you're going to have a very rosy and glorious career or lives or professional space. But if it's not there with you, let's say that there is a turmoil in your professional life, personal life, do you choose to completely give up, or do you choose to stay in the moment and still fight it out in the best of your capacity? That defines what kind of person you are. And once the person builds that intent to come out of difficult ordeals, that's where they start building resilience. So, building resilience is very good, but it has to be practiced when a person encounters failure. And for a person to encounter failure, one has to expose to various situations, and then they should not be so constricted in their view that they avoid all the kind of spaces where they can get failed. So, one has to be open to experiences. That is very important.
Of course, definitely, uh, it's basically we would call that, the only once you get opportunities, and the opportunities comes with a certain risk, and definitely, if you can overcome any opportunity comes with some challenges, and if you can overcome that and go ahead, definitely, you can you reach to higher, better heights. kind of. Does that, kind of, uh, you know, um, gel with this?
Yes, definitely. It see, again, it's about building that mindset to be that open to challenges, being open to being failed, and then not getting defined by that. I think that is the key of building resilience. But what I see is, I think building resilience, in my view, comes later, but how open you are to people and situations, I think that is the first step in handling pressure. Because many times, for example, let's say I'm an introvert person, and I know that going in public drains my energy. What is my reaction? My first reaction is I'll avoid situations, I'll avoid people where I can come across any kind of difficult situations, right?
Hmm.
So so avoidance is, I think, also a bigger enemy of an individual, in that sense, where it refrains people from undergoing any kind of different situations, competitions, challenges in life. And see, whenever you're undergoing anything, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a competition, anything and everything, one has to understand that there are going to be, somebody is going to win, somebody is going to fail. If it's a sport, you have to agree to it. Now if all the time I say no, that I have to win, with that mindset, when I feel like I'm 100% clear, I am the best in the lot, and then I'm going to enter a competition, I feel the person has excelled in their technical skills or the core skills, but miserably failed as a individual in the soft skill area. And because they are not open, they want to reject all the situation where they can lose. And saying that I want to win all the time is not the quality, it's not a strength, it's not a virtue. It is something you're so scared that you want to enter only when you're the best of the Lord. And let's say if a person does carry this mentality and he enters any kind of competition, and for some reason, due to any odd situation, the person actually doesn't win, the person will be so shaken, his confidence will be completely cracked down, that he or she may not be able to get up again. And it would be like a prolonged depression they'll encounter. So it's not openness, it's not and nowadays I see that all the time everywhere, with people want to come in only if they're best, but they don't want to come in with an open mindset that yes, I want to give my best. It's not that mindset. If I'm best, only then I will enter the competition.
How will you know if you're best or not?
I think, see, being best is a relative concept. So obviously, it comes with a comparison with a lot of people. But as an individual, the lookout should be that have I excelled at something? Let's say there's a skill, um, learning calligraphy. I'm taking a very offbeat skill. Now I don't know it. I started practicing it. I started learning it, practicing it. Slowly, I aced it. Now, when I aced it, I'm not going to look at the world's best calligraphy artist and say that, okay, I'm here to compete you. But I would be comparing with myself to say that what is my gradient of change? And if I see that the gradient of change has been significant, if I feel confident to clear the toughest level of exam, I think I would call myself that I am qualified to appear for that exam. But but then the best is a relative concept, right?
Right. And I was thinking that, you will know if you're best only if you have gone and played and practiced. I mean, if it's a game, you must play at the highest of levels, and then only you know you are one among the best, or something like that. Or even any other skills for that matter. Unless, you see, even if you say chess, or something like that. Unless you go and play with people, how will you know you're good at chess? You need to have opposition, right? you,
Right.
oh, right.
And
So
how many
anyway,
times people come up? My issue, especially sometimes when I look at very young people, they're like, no, 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 I don't want to try. I don't want to go there because, I'm not that good. Or either they feel the extreme that I'm the best, so I will go, or I'm the worst, I cannot even learn, so I will not go. But, being that fairly open to various situation is important. And also another thing, think about it. You may be good at chess, but you may not be best at basketball, calligraphy, singing, dancing, playing guitar, everything. You could be moderate in certain areas, you could excel in some, and you could be bad in a few. And that's perfectly fine. But, and see, that's where I try different things. I try basketball, I try chess, I try calligraphy. And one fine day I say that, okay, I'm not that good in chess, but I'm very good in calligraphy. So I have experienced failure in some sense, and I've also experienced success in some ways, and that makes me a balanced person. But always chasing only for being best, it's a the mentality itself is very self-harming, is what I
mm,
feel. Because then you don't experience failures, and one fine day the experience you experience failure, and it's like boom, you are crumbling
crashing.
down. Yes.
Right. Okay. Now let's talk about some people who like the people, some of the better people who came out best is, they basically you would see that they seem to handle pressure better or well. They seem to handle pressure well and much better than other people. So, what do you think is happening here? Why do these people handle pressure better, much better than others?
So what I think is each person has different trigger points. Identifying those trigger points is very, very important to address any kind of issue that you're facing. For example, for you, not having sufficient time could be a pressurizing situation. For me, while I'm working and somebody constantly gibbering, jabbering around me, talking around me, making noise around me, could be a trigger which can create pressure in me. Now, for you, it's different. For me, it's different. What we talked about in the initial part of the discussion was the outcome of the pressure, like our palms sweating, our body shaking, and suddenly our heart beating faster. So, these were the outcomes after the pressure. Now, what I'm trying to talk about is each one has certain triggers which lead to the pressure. Are we able to identify what are the trigger points for us as individuals? And when these trigger points are experienced at that time around, we address the issue. We don't wait for completely getting into a pressurizing scenario or stressful situation, then to come out of that. Maybe it is a good way to actually, not completely jump into that ocean where you are going to experience terrible pressure. So, identifying your triggers is very important. What irritates you? What creates pressureful situations for you? When do you really get anxious? And for that, self analysis is very, very important. You should know yourself better. Doesn't matter whether you know the other person or people around you, that comes next. But do you understand yourself nuances in your personality better? I think that is very important. And for that, one has to again spend good time with themselves to really know how much are they into themselves, they understand their emotions. Because once the person starts understanding the trigger points, then he or she will also identifies the ways to address those trigger points. And when that is done, then obviously the most difficult situations don't get created every now and then. But when people are not self aware, no, that time they every now and then they end up being anxious, angry, all the time because they have not addressed the core of their issue. Building resilience or emotional intelligence can also help a person to identify their trigger points.
Okay, Ji. So let's talk about what we call self-talk influence. Self-talk, suppose, how does our own self-talk influence the way we respond to pressure?
Okay. So, on this, I would like to give you a scenario. Just forget everything for a moment that, we are doing this session or event. Imagine you are standing in a room which is full of mirrors. The mirror is in front of you, back of you, above you, on your right hand side, on your left hand side, where you can see yourself crystal clear. Okay. And you find yourself in the best shape and form. And what I mean by shape and form here is your version of your best. Let's say, for example, if I'm considering myself, I'm standing where I feel most confident with respect to my professional career, my personal relationships, where I feel happy about what kind of a person I am, where I don't feel there is any need to seek validation from other people or look for it outside. I feel pretty content within me. And suddenly, someone comes into the room and says, "You're such a loser." And I just look at that person. What do you think my reaction will be?
Somebody told that you were a loser.
Yeah,
Mm,
I'm in that room full of a glass, surrounding glass, above, below, everywhere there's the glass.
mm.
I feel pretty content, happy, not seeking for any validation outside. I am happy personally in my relationships, professionally. I feel I'm doing well. And I'm very satisfied. And someone comes in, opens the door, bangs the door, bam, and says, "Curry, you're a loser." What do you think my reaction will be?
I think he has completely lost it. Uh, your reaction is like what you say or not say is not going to affect us, me, because I am.
Very good. Very good. Stay on that. Exactly this happens. Now, because I had a positive image about my own self within my own mind, so between me and me, my relationship was so sorted that any third person coming in and telling me you are a loser did not even move an iota of space in me because I was confident, because I was secured, because I did not look for it outside. Now imagine the same situation in a different context. I'm standing in the same room full of mirrors. I feel I'm ugly. I feel I don't have good relationships. I feel I'm professionally not accomplished. I feel many people are way ahead of me in whatever aspect you may want to think of. And I'm just thinking and, drooling over it. Immediately, somebody bangs the door. Come and say, "Corey, you're such a loser." What do you think now my reaction will be?
I think now you will kind of take it in the sense that you say, "Am I really a loser?" I mean, you are yourself feeling that you're like a loser. So when somebody tells that, then that's going to further depress you.
Exactly. So
Huh?
it's going to depress me. It's going to pull me down. It's going to impact me in all adverse ways as possible. Why?
Okay. Why? I mean, can you elaborate that why?
Yeah, I mean, the reason for that why is because my self talk was so negative that anything and everything in the world could impact me. I could not envisage myself as a positive, capable, and a good person in my own eyes. And so anything in my surrounding could just even put a stick or a weed at me, and I will be like shaken. Imagine the weight of the weed. It doesn't have any, but I'm shaken. And the first Gauri, who was so strong, confident, not looking for any validation outside, even if people would have thrown stones at me, I would have still been the same person.
Mm.
Self
Correct.
talk is so important.
Right.
How you talk to yourself. And many times in my counseling sessions, I do this ask this question to people. Do you think you are your own best friend? If I ask this question to you, Dr. Mani, are you your own best friend?
Of course, I mean, who else can it be? I mean, I'm my own best friend, right?
So the question is like this, and you have answered it well. Between Gauri and Gauri, how do I hold a conversation? Between me as a person versus my self conscience, how do I hold a conversation? Am I able to talk positive about myself, or it is always a condescending negative talk? That
See,
determines the flow of relationship what you have with yourself. And when you have a weak relationship with yourself, anyone and everyone can impact you. You even find it difficult to have a positive self affirmation talk because then you feel you're not worth it.
so that's right, because see, if you have done everything, and let's say it's about your work, okay, and you have done or something that you're working on, you have done everything, you've gathered all the skills, you have trained on all the skills that's required, and you're performing well on the job. So you have done. Sometimes you don't get results correct. I mean, you may get good results, but you can't get it all the time, 100% all the time. So you may sometimes you may not lose, but you may get little. Suppose like it's like attending a maths test. Sometimes you may get a 90s, you may get 95. Sometimes you may get 90 also. Sometimes you get 89, and sometimes you would get 100. Right. So it's like this. So, what was I have tried my best. I have studied in my best. I have did everything to do well in this. And I mean, rest is. I mean, it's just left. So I'm not worried because even my conscience is. I have not wasted any time. I have not done anything. I have not been playing or doing something while I should study. I've studied, I've put in the effort, I've done everything. And yeah, of course, sometimes the results vary. So, but uh, I have done to the best of my ability and best of my.
Right. If one can tell themselves this, they are their own best friends. And many times people even don't get this concept of being your own best friend. So I just tell them, let's say one of your friend comes to your place and she says, I have done this grave mistake. What is that you would tell her? So they say that we will tell her that it's okay, it's fine. Everyone commits mistake at some point in their lives, and it's okay. Just let it go. Do you do that to yourself? No, ma'am, we just can't forgive ourselves. We find it very hard to let go of things we've done in the past or which has happened to us. Then I say you're not your best friend, because if your best friend came with an issue that she has done something wrong, you would have supported her and you have patted her on her back and said that it's fine, it's okay, we all commit mistakes. But when you do it, you are like having a stick in your hand. How did I commit this mistake? Or and then you don't let go of yourself. And once when you cannot let go of any mistake that you have done, how can you have a positive self talk with you? So in that case, you automatically become your own villain, not a best friend, but a foe, without even realizing it. So practicing to be your own best friend by having positive self affirming talks is very, very important.
Okay.
And one has to practice it, one has to develop that skill, one
Skill.
has to always benchmark it with that friend. If same thing, if somebody would have come and said to me, would I, what would I have asked her to do? And similarly, I should treat myself with the same empathy, care, and patience. And then obviously my equation with myself will improve, my talks with myself will improve, and then anyone saying anything will not create pressure for me, because I will be my own best friend, I will own it.
Right. Okay. So I think somewhere in the early part of the thing, we touched upon emotional intelligence. So my question is, what does emotional intelligence, how does it play a role in managing pressures and setbacks?
So, emotional intelligence is like that tool where you start understanding, processing what you're thinking, why you're thinking. You understand and regulate your own emotions. Also, at the same time, you try and understand the emotion of the other person. And then you try to choose your responses, craft them wisely so that you can create the best out of the situation. Now, if you're unaware of yourself, if you're unaware of what a person is going through, then your erratic responses or reactions can create a lot of turmoil, and it can add on to our pressures in many ways possible. So when one chooses to pause and respond, emotional intelligence is pausing and choosing what and how I have to respond. Now, let's say, for example, if you have updated a file, I come to you and say, this file is super rubbish. I think you need to redo it. If you're emotionally intelligent, you will pause and you will think of it as a feedback. Now, what you want to do with that feedback is your choice. I have said this file is rubbish doesn't mean it is inherently rubbish. It could be my own pressures which is leading me to say that. If you're an intelligent person, emotionally intelligent person, you would realize that this person is saying this maybe out of his or her own frustrations. It has nothing to do with the file. You will give that leeway to yourself. Secondly, you will say this is a feedback, but most important is what and how do I respond to this feedback. Do I take it 100%? Do I correct something in my own work? That is a choice which I will sit and think and then apply to it. But if a person is not emotionally intelligent, instant reaction, I did not do it, I did everything what was required to do it, so my work is correct, you get argumentative. The more and more arguments you have with people, the more and more pressure you eventually create. So emotional intelligence is identifying your own emotions and not taking things personally. Understanding that people come from different background, different mindsets. Their situation today morning could be completely different to what I have been through. Maybe they don't have those peaceful days which I undergo. So they are like behaving erratically all the time. I would also like to give you one example. Very recently, I delivered a training at a place, and it was about emotional intelligence was a subset of the discussion. And some of the people, they were so misbehaving and arrogant with me. Now, I had a choice to get bogged down at that point because they were way elder to me in age, experience, and the way they were trying to corner me, it was initially it appeared to be stressful, but then I just paused and reflected. It is they are not happy here, they are not happy with the organization. What they are talking to me is a reflection of their own mindset. That's not me, that's not what I'm doing. Because if I was doing a bad job, there are 30 people sitting here and they would have also said yes to it. But it is only one person who is saying, maybe that person is frustrated. When I calm myself, I could still lead the session in a very empathetic, a nice way with lots of energy, exuberance, some humor at places. So it was a successful session. But somebody tried to pull me down right there because they were frustrated. So that was not reflection of my work because my session had just started. But at every point I observed that somebody's trying to pull me down and say that you're not good at what you're doing. And then it was impacting. But then I chose how much to let it impact me is a choice I have, and I can be wise about it. So I feel everyone has a choice in that sense. And emotional intelligence makes you realize that you do have a choice to respond no matter what happens.
I think there was a good example in handling not only pressure but also being resilient to the situation at hand. So I think really it was good of you, very good. You could do that. That means I rate your emotional intelligence to be pretty high. So when you came across such kind of very senior people who wanted to pull you down, sort of thought through the situation, why they're doing this, and it's because they were not happy with their organization, and so it is you had just started the session, so there was no reason to go against you or pull you down. So something somewhere happened, somewhere that has happened is kind of being reflected on you. So no, so that is a very good way of you having thought about it, and you are resilient enough. It's a very good example of your resilience, how you took care of yourself and maintain dignity and everything in the in situ there, and continued with your training program and came out of it with flying colors. So I would congratulate you on that. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you. Okay, so I think we have come to we've almost spent more than an hour. So I think if you could just give just one message which they could remember, to all our viewers, just one message they could remember when they face the next high pressure situation, what that would be.
I think one message to anyone and everyone is not to take things personally. The moment you stop taking things personally, why it is happening to me, why am I undergoing this, or why did this person say this to me, or that person say, the moment you ease that space around you, you're so relaxed and you're so comfortable that you feel if something is happening to you, it is due to the churning of various situations unfolding in a certain way. It's nothing to do at me per se. As long as I'm putting my 100% efforts to my craft, to whatever I'm doing, I'm focused, dedicated. I don't control beyond this point. Anything happening to me is external. So I'm not going to take it personally and let it affect my state of mind. And second most important thing is that whenever I am approaching life at large, whether it is a competition, whether it is a work, it could be anything, I am just going to focus on giving my best shot and not get worried or moved by what is going to be the outcome, because the outcome could be favorable, may not be favorable, but that's not going to determine my ability to give my best shot. And with that, I would like to end my answer.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate and coming over here to my platform and spending so much time on this particular topic and giving your own experience. I think it increased the flavor of the talk, improved, and it took it to a much higher level, to a higher level, and I really appreciate it. So it was simply super, and you took this particular, this is something which we all undergo, pressure. So every day in and day out we undergo, and we do it not every minute of the time as well. All the 24 hours, sometimes, except for the sleep time, you have some kind of pressure or the other at given points of time. But you have taught us, or you have said how to be resilient about it, how to give your best, and leave the rest. There's a saying, give your best and leave the rest. Even in our own this one, what do you call Gita, one of the biggest Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains, saying that do your duty, leave the rest to God. Uh, so it's up to you. You do your work to the best of your ability, and you don't worry about the results, because results is not in your hands. So you cannot, you don't need to, tie yourself with the results. Results may come or not. You have to got to do your duty. You got to do your work. So,
Right.
isn't it, ma'am? So,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I think even the highest book in this dharma, in our dharma, in the dharma of this country, has told this. So there is no need to be under pressure. And he has taught this dharma on a battlefield. We are sitting and talking about it, but he taught it
Correct.
on a battlefield when somebody was facing his own relatives and his own uncles and whatever, and teachers, and to fight against. So it's a marvelous book, and it's this message that you are bringing. They're all coming together. Is a very, very. I think it's a fantastic, superb, and it's mind-boggling. I would say. Anyway, thank you very much for this awesome talk, and
Thank you so much.
we look forward to see you soon in another program. And yeah, thank you very much for everything, and we'll see you soon, Gauri ji, and we'll look forward to that session as well. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Have a great evening as well. Thank you. Have a bye.
Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. See you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.